Now we're going to learn how to make the vertical wave pattern for a friendship bracelet. What you're going to do first is you're going to make sure that all of your ends are aligned on your friendship bracelet. And I have 6 strands here, which is enough to make the vertical wave pattern. I think that 6 is kind of the minimum, because if you use any less, you definitely have to have 2 for the outside, and it's just going to get really thin, so it might be hard to see the pattern. So I definitely recommend using 6. So to start, you're going to make a knot at the top. You're just going to make a loop, and then wind the tail through the loop. Make sure that you've got 2 knuckles length of thread before your knot, and then pull tight. Then make sure you have enough to properly make the sliding attachment that will let your bracelet be adjustable. So now I'm going to take a pin and stick it right into my knot. If you have a plastic surface and some tape, you can also use tape across the top ends, but make sure that that surface won't be damaged by the tape first. So in the vertical wave pattern, you only see 2 colors. So I'm going to pick some really contrasting ones so it's easy to see. And since we already did pink and blue, let's do pink and green. So I got pink on one side and green on the other. There we go. These other strings in the middle are just going to be wrapped around by the strings that are outside, so we're not going to see them at all. It really doesn't matter what color they are. So now, it starts out much like a candy stripe bracelet. We're just going to do forward knots all the way across, starting with our pink. But here's the trick. We do not want to wrap our string around either of the end ones at all. So this is better seen in action. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a 4 and tuck the tail through with our pink. And then we're going to tie it and pull it tight. That's 1/2 of the forward knot. And here's the second half. Now we're going to do the next string. 4, wrap the tail through, pull tight, and 4, wrap the tail through, and pull tight. This is getting a little disorganized, and I see that this string looks like it should actually be on the end. So I'm just going to pull this guy off to the side, because I don't want to accidentally bring him into my knotting here. So now I'm grabbing glue, and I make a 4, tuck the tail through, and pull it tight. For the tail through and pull it tight. And now I'm going to do the same thing on my final strand, which is green. And it's a forward knot and another forward knot. Now the cool thing about the vertical wave pattern is that we actually do 2 rows, except in opposite directions. And how we achieve this is we actually, now over here, we do backwards knots on the way back. So with pink, we're going to go forwards, which goes to the right, backwards to the left. And with our green, we're going to go backwards to the left, and then forwards to the right. So now we're going to make a P, and tuck the tail through. And a P, and tuck the tail through. And that makes 1 backward, well, that was supposed to make 1 backwards knot. Let's try that again. A P, and tuck the tail through. that makes one backwards knot. There we go. Make sure that guy's still off to the side. And next we're going to do a blue one. And we're going to do this a little more quickly. So that's half of the backwards knot. And then this is the whole backwards knot. So the part of this pattern that makes it look like a wave is actually what's going to happen after we finish these last two pieces. What happens then is we essentially make a string that kind of hangs down the side and gets reattached into the bracelet. And that makes it the crest of a wave. And there's one knot, and then there's two knots. Okay. So in order to switch colors, and put that guy to the side, we're going to take this green string and just start going the opposite direction, starting with the backwards knot. Because remember, if we're going to the left in this pattern, we're going to use a backwards knot. Oops. And then if we keep going, we're going to start to see a wave pattern up here. After you get through a few more rows, your vertical wave bracelet will look something like this. If you want, you can add a charm or a bead. Just make sure you tie off your string, the knot, and make a loop and then tuck the tail through. And then once you tie that knot and tighten it, you can put on a charm, tie another one of those knots, and then keep going with your pattern. Have fun crafting!